All right, guys, so we are back with another exotic car hacks video, and today we're unveiling yet another car. I know I keep buying cars, it's terrible, and I promised you I'm upgrading my man cave so there will be room for more. So a lot of times you see cars here, they immediately disappear, they come back later because I have nowhere to store them, so I'm storing them in a separate storage place. It's not as attractive as this, but we're working on it, so soon you will have some incredible man cave power and you will look amazing. So I cannot wait to show you guys how cool we're gonna make the man caves look. So right now, we have just picked up a car that had been sinking at the bottom of an ocean. I know, sounds weird, right? Believe it or not, I was scheduled to receive one of the first Ultimae Aventadors ever. And I was really excited because I was gonna buy this car and I was gonna have it. And then you may have noticed a ship was sinking near Portugal and people thought, hey, you know what? It's not gonna sink, it's just on fire. There's a ton of cars on it, but we are gonna make it work and this ship's gonna go to port and they're gonna salvage some of the cars. Apparently people thought there was a bunch of Volkswagens on that, you know, a particular ship. They kept it on the hush-hush, but they were Bugattis, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, Porsches, just about everything that the Volkswagen Group produces. And in that pool of cars, I had 2 GT3 cars and of course, my Lamborghini Aventador Ultimae. Which was the absolutely first batch of cars that was going to come from Italy right here into South Florida. Now, lucky for me, Lamborghini was very kind and decided to remake me a car, even though they had already shut down the plant and had already said that all Aventadors were done. But this incident forced them to basically reopen the plant and I think remake 5 or 6 cars. And so therefore I was delivered the last Ultimae, not ever produced, but rather ever delivered, because I was in the last batch. I know the last car was this blue with silver stripe, and instead now arrives this latest Ultimae, the actual coupe. This is Grigio Haiti with a beautiful red painted accent line, and of course carbon fiber options throughout, including the kit, SVJ wheels, clear bonnet, and a really, really incredible interior, which we're gonna discuss and see together. Overall though, this is the Ultimae, and I know it's late, I know people have already done reviews for it, but it's finally here. And I've put about 40 miles on it so far, and I think this is gonna be pretty surprising, but it's pretty spectacular. And it's actually very different than anything I expected. So today we're gonna talk about the review on this car, and we're also gonna be talking about driving it around. Since Reggie can now fit in these cars. He's lost like 100 pounds apparently over the last 3 days. Isn't that right, Reggie? Yep, it's true, 100 pounds? Okay, so you're like what, 85 now? Because you were 190 in the last video.
98.5.
Okay, so you're like 98.5 now. Okay, so not just your head, but like your whole body's 98.5. Okay. Yeah, can you put like some cricket noises on this, like in this video? No? Okay, all right, yeah, thanks. Anyways, so we're gonna take this on the road. We're gonna talk about why it's so spectacular, what works, what doesn't work, how much is this still Aventador, how much is it SVJ, and why does it make sense? Ready? Let's go. Rocking? All right, so one of the things you'll notice immediately in the car, it's basically all Aventador. Nothing has really changed. You still don't have Bluetooth music. You have your cup holder here, and you have some incredible craftsmanship when it comes to the materials used on the inside. It actually has a very SVJ/Performante look. You'll notice the beautiful stitch Alcantara matched with the leather. You'll find this gorgeous pattern here that we did in red, along with some white beautiful lining as well. It really gives the car a luxurious feel, something you don't see with at all when it comes to an SVJ. You get more of the crazy colors and the excitement with the SVJ, but you're certainly not getting the same luxury segment that you can get with this car, which is one of the reasons that I really like the Ultimae. And I tell you what's actually interesting is I'm one of the few people that will probably say, because I've had both the SVJ, the S, and all these SVs and all these other cars, the SVJ is a monster on its own, right? It's pretty incredible, pretty exciting. The S, on the other hand, is probably a much more usable and exciting car. It has a glove box, it has doors, it doesn't have carbon everywhere, it doesn't have handles, like it has normal stuff here like the S does. The Ultimae is incredible because it combines the beauty of the SVJ, but it combines the functionality here of a regular S. And I like that a lot because you're able to enjoy it. Now, the car still drives like complete horseshit in automatic, but in manual, once you understand the shift patterns, it's actually pretty steady and pretty comfortable, telling you and showing you how far the SCT transmission has come for Lamborghini. Now, this is pretty exciting because understand that Lamborghini has only been able to fit the single clutch transmission in the Aventador. This is a very big deal, and I'll tell you why. Because even though they've been able to fit this single clutch transmission in here, they can't do the dual clutch in the Aventador until the next reiteration. The one thing that's really incredible about this car is that you don't really feel it. No different than a Huracan, which has the DCT. This, you get the same exciting driving, and as long as you don't shift too early, you don't get a lot of jerkiness. It's a little jerky, it's not as good as a DCT, but it's very close. And that's the first thing you'll notice immediately in the Ultimae, is it has the same, even I would say even smoother shifting curve than the SVJ. And I thought the SVJ was almost seamless at high speeds, but it was a little bit left to be desired at lower speeds. Here at lower speeds, you're still getting a pretty exciting and well put together transmission. You'll notice immediately that all the gauges here are also different than what you can expect on a regular S or SVJ. They've changed them a little bit, and going through the different modes gives you the same Corsa feel and everything that you get with the SVJ. Again, very, very cool. I like to drive it in Ego mode because it's a mixture of some of those awesome little different modes, etc. So it gives you all the power, but it also allows you to keep the suspension softer and so on and so forth. So I really like this, and nothing has really changed here other than like it's basically a mixture of some of the cool things that made the S functional, and then some of the cool things that made the SVJ somewhat of a more raw and exciting experience. The exhaust, on the other hand, this is something else that's interesting. Now, my SVJ is a roadster, my S was a coupe. I will tell you, the exhaust note, they pulled the exhaust straight out of the SVJ on this, and it sounds really good on the S because it's docile enough when you're driving, you can barely hear it, it's comfortable. And then at full throttle, you'll hear it in a second, you have a much higher note, exactly like you would in an STO or a perf, where it really has that higher pitch. And it's pretty exciting. I would tell you, it's pretty exciting altogether, and something that you don't really expect to hear on an Aventador, because you expect it to be loud all the time. Now, my complaint with the SVJ was that it only sounded good in Corsa mode. It was kind of too loud, even when you started up in sport mode, but this car seems to have kind of like resonated that really well. I felt like the S had this, except it didn't have that higher pop and pitch that this has at higher revs, which I think is essential to the experience of Aventador in a fun way, not just in a stunt way. I think the stunt idea was really good too with what the car does, but it's not as cool by any means as what this means. So I'm gonna try to make a U-turn here because we're getting some crazy traffic here as well, and I want you guys to hear this. So listen to this real quick. You hear that pop and crackle, which is pretty exciting altogether. Like, it drives in a really exciting manner, and you hear it in the gears. But one of the things you're getting with this car is not only you're getting this, listen to this. You hear that? Like, it sounds really good like a Performante, and it's not as jerky as you would expect from an Aventador, even in these low speed streets, you know, we're not on a highway or anything. See, again, pretty exciting altogether from a noise standpoint and experience standpoint. And I think the one thing that I really like about the Ultimae is, from a driving standpoint, it does something that I think is nostalgic for those of us that have enjoyed Aventador, understood it, and participated in its evolution by buying them, is that it gives you the best of what Aventador was. Like, every part that is the best of it. It gives you the most fun part of it, but it gives you the most practical part of it, and that's the interesting part, because Aventador was never practical. And you see, we're only driving in the Ego mode, which is really on Corsa engine with all the suspension being normal, but you can clearly see that the car has a lot of pull, is really exciting, and yet it's still very docile and can be enjoyed, you know, on the street doing some normal driving. They've lowered it a little bit, so the design of it is perfect. I don't think I would need to slam this car. You keep the center locks, you have all the carbon. It's beautiful, it's functional, and more than anything else, I think it's nostalgic to what Aventador was, the best version of it, in an enjoyable manner and in a great package. Now let's go take a look at the outside real quick and see what it really has done to the car from an aesthetic standpoint, because the Ultimae is a little bit different than the S, and I like the subtle touches that have done that to it. So if you're ready, let's take a look at that. All right, so in the Ultimae, you'll notice the basic composition is still all Aventador. Nothing has really changed in terms of what you really get, except that the way the presentation comes together is very different. So you have this livery, which is painted on and is really gorgeous, and just brings together this bumper and these new vents here really, really well. You have an extended version of the front carbon fiber that you would find on the S, which is pretty exciting. You have an SVJ side skirt that continues with the gigantic SVJ scoops, which is also very exciting with the wider arches. So I think that is where you're getting the best, most visual and exciting cue of the car. Now, in addition to that, you'll also notice going here, through here, that you get this, like SVJ, giant rear splitter. Now, a fun fact here is that the SVJ splitter is actually shorter than this splitter. So this splitter is actually made for the Ultimae, and it is much longer. So it creates a very different visual cue, especially when you don't have the gigantic wing that the SVJ has with the rear bonnet. Now, in this case, you get the glass hatch, which was always one of the best features of Aventador, and here you get that back again with the springs matching the caliper colors, and that is absolutely beautiful. I think one of the key things to take out from the Ultimae compared to the SVJ is the beauty in the details of the paint and the way the car was put together, giving it an edge of just design more so than just rawness like the SVJ. If you look at the SVJ, it's very long. It has a lot of extra parts like the big wing and a lot of carbon everywhere. Here you have a much cleaner and prettier silhouette with the glass hatch, which I would have loved to see on the SVJ, but we can't because it has that gigantic thing you have to pull off. And you lose, of course, the ALA system, which in my opinion was one of the best reasons why the SVJ was such a killer from a driving standpoint. I've argued with friends that you can really feel the SVJ's stabilizing kind of drive modes because of the ALA, and they've said I'm crazy because there's no way you can feel the ALA on the road. But I would argue that I feel very comfortable driving like 80, 90 miles an hour and immediately changing lanes if there's an obstacle in front of me without thinking I'm going to lose the car with an SVJ. I don't know that I would feel that with this particular car. So the way I would look at it is the Ultimae is definitely an incredible staple to any collection and an incredible car to put in the garage historically just to keep, because I think values will do very well as this is the final Aventador. I will argue that I'm pretty sure that the SVJ will do better in value in the long term, even though it has higher production numbers than this, simply because of what it stands for and what it is in a world that is becoming very numb. And SVJ still remains something of an exciting experience that I think can't be mimicked with anything. If I was gonna drive an Aventador more so than just drive it once in a while, put the top down with those crazy T-tops, put them in the trunk, I would probably drive this over an S all day. Now, I don't know that you can't really get the Ultimae anymore. All the orders are done and closed, and the premiums on these is like 300 over sticker. I mean, wholesale, they're going for 100 over sticker. You know, retail, they're going 200 to 300 over sticker. I think that makes a big difference. I mean, you're looking at Ultimates at 800, you're looking at an S at 400. Do I think the Ultimae is twice as good as the S? The short answer is no. Do I think the Ultimae is better than an SVJ? The short answer is no. Do I think the Ultimae is a more usable car than SVJ? The short answer is yes. But ultimately, I still think it's a fantastic car. I think they did a beautiful job with the car. This car is finished in Grigio Haiti. This is the same color I chose to do on the Technica that I have coming, except this one has red accents and white piping. The actual Technica will have blue almond throughout the car to offset kind of the color. I think this is a beautiful color in person. If you've never seen it, this is like the Lambo version of chalk that Porsche had, and it's absolutely striking in person. So all in all, Ultimae gets a big thumbs up. If you got one at MSRP, congratulations. If you didn't, I don't know that it's worth the SVJ money. That's basically the synopsis for it. So you know, collector car, absolutely, as people put miles on them. I don't think this will hold as well as the SVJ did, but as they do not, and this is the final Aventador ever made, I think Aventador has gone out with a bang, and I think more than anything else, this is a great representation of what the brand was from its first inception in 2012 with the Aventador, all the way to basically 10 years later, when they basically pull this out, the final reiteration and the best version of Aventador. So I'm really excited about the next reiteration of the next V12 Lamborghini, which we are kind of thinking will be a combination of the Sion and some of this other stuff that we've seen over the last couple of years through Aventadors, like through the new like hypercars that they've pulled out. But excited about it. I hope they just put Bluetooth in it. That's the only thing I ask Lamborghini if you're paying attention. Otherwise, of course, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of the spec? How hot is this? I know I have this pattern, you know, with the Bentley and then the Rolls and my new RS6 to all be like these grays, but I think these are hot colors. I think they'll do really well in the long term. And I think in general, I mean, this is just beautiful. But what do you think of the spec? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, turn on subscriptions and notifications. And otherwise, I will catch you on the next video for Exotic Car Hacks. See you later, guys.